We on. All right, we on. Back at it again. Generation Us. I'm O, the futuristic baby boomer.
And I'm Lavley, the progressive millennial.
We back at it again, man.
Yes, sir. In the flesh. What's happening? You got a new look.
New look?
Yeah. You think people not gonna notice? We've done a lot of video episodes now.
Yeah, well, I thought I threw the Scully on.
Yeah.
But we here to talk about, in the news, crypto, Bitcoin, all this stuff is kind of happening. And, Trump administration is kind of in place. They're starting to make moves, and they're talking about making the United States the crypto capital of the world and talking about Bitcoin strategic reserves and all that. And the question becomes, what does that mean for everyday people? What does that mean for, the people that in your group, in my group, that I know that don't really know much about it, don't understand crypto, don't understand Bitcoin? What does it mean for them?
Nothing until we educate them or other people educate them somehow. If people don't really know, they won't act. We're in a community. We've been in the community for a long time. So all these things are happening. They are as expected. We're not really surprised. We're just like, about time. But I don't think everybody else are still hip to it. And I'm still waiting for what is going to be that. It's almost like, is there going to be a switch that turns everybody aware and all of a sudden start to invest? Is it going to be a slow burn? I'm not sure, but I don't know what it means for everyday folks because my friends are not talking different about Bitcoin. People in my circle,
talking about it at all?
They're not talking about it at all. Nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned. But when you and I get in a conversation, we get excited. And that hasn't changed for more than 10 years now. It's been that. So I don't know what it means for the community. I think what's for sure, if I don't see any shift about friends talking about it, then I think, they might get left behind.
See, that's probably the most significant thing that's happening because behind the scenes, BlackRock is buying, ETFs are buying, corporations are buying. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, which is now called Strategy, they're buying. Corporations in Wall Street are buying Bitcoin in droves. They're buying Ethereum. They're buying other cryptocurrencies. And see, that's probably the biggest travesty, in my opinion. Because in every other sector, Wall Street, NASDAQ, corporations, real estate, the haves always have an opportunity to get more. And the people who don't have are always frozen out.
Mm-hmm.
And Bitcoin, if you just focus on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, but Bitcoin specifically was created for the people.
Right.
And the only people that have been buying it before this last year or so were people like you and me.
Yeah.
And the people are the ones who should be buying it because it's the only time in the history of the world that regular people have had an opportunity to get in on something that could financially change their life.
Yeah. I guess what is the disconnect then? And what is truly the difference between this transformative technology that's supposed to change people's lives in a financial way? What is the difference between when the gold rush happened? What's the difference? Because I get it. Like if you know, but if it's for the people, was there something that's missing in how to execute? Because maybe marketing would have been something that should have been embedded into Bitcoin technology to say, this is for the people, but we got to make sure that it gets to the people before private sectors and the government takes control and take a large amount to where it's only, circulating in the top percent. So as I'm watching this unfold, I wasn't around during the gold rush. I don't know what that's like, but I think it seems like history repeating itself. Only a few people that went and took advantage of it, and other people sat back and was like, "Nah, I'm good." You know.
But even in the gold rush, yeah, there were some people out there looking for gold, but it was companies that had mining operations that were able to go and bring large scale to get the gold and then take advantage of it. So regular people weren't able to do that. I mean, maybe back in Daniel Boone days, you go in a creek and maybe find you a little bit of gold, but that wasn't how you were getting it. So in this, the saddest part to me is that this has been something that if you had foresight, if you had vision, you could see that it was going to be something that was incredible, a game changer. And I mean, you turned me on to it back in 2017. And back then, you just had to, be willing to do a little research, understand it, and then say, okay, I need to get some of this because this is going to be something. And now, here's what's happening behind the scenes. Billions of dollars are being purchased by corporations, by nation states. There are now 15, maybe 22 states that have legislation in place to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve. States that are going to take part of their pension money and start buying Bitcoin. If all of big money and smart money in Wall Street are buying Bitcoin, shouldn't everybody else be buying it?
In theory, yes. In practice, yeah. But people are not, right? And I don't know what's the timeline to where people can enter and be able to take advantage of the transfer of wealth that's happening. That's my thing. So I'm thinking, my question is like, is it going to be to a point where when the dust settles, finally, it's only going to be a few percentage of people that have a lot of Bitcoin and the rest of society don't? How is that really going to change anything for people? How is it going to change their day-to-day transaction using Bitcoin on the blockchain as opposed to having a dollar? Is it because it's not going to be as inflated because there's a finite amount and it can't be printed? So regardless if people buy it or not in the early stage, they're still going to benefit. Like, is the technology at its purest form, once it becomes massively adopted, will people benefit from it from the ones who didn't invest in? Because people are a creature of habit, right? We sit here, we talk about it all day long. It's been more than 10 years. My friends are still not buying Bitcoin. That's the reality.
And I agree. Mine really aren't either.
So now I'm done trying to, I want to put this on wax because I just still care about, having something evergreen in the community that I'm creating, that I'm putting all of the things that I'm interested in, putting out there. But I'm no longer trying to push people to invest, push people to buy or to see the way I see it. It's going to be a slow burn, and people will come in at the price point that they deserve to come in. But I feel like it's going to be when it's late. So my new focus or my new thought process is, if that's the case, if history is going to repeat itself in that way, what's going to be the difference when Bitcoin dust finally settles?
So here's what I think. I think you said something a minute ago that is worth repeating. There should be better marketing for Bitcoin, right? The problem is that Bitcoin doesn't have an owner.
That's true.
It doesn't have a president. So he said there's no marketing committee. There's no division of marketing for Bitcoin. It is what it is.
That's true.
And so because of that, here's the thing that's stopping people. This is on us. You and I and everybody else that's in the market of cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, is the unit bias. People I talk to now are like, it's $100,000. I can't afford that. They don't understand you don't have to buy $100,000 to get a Bitcoin. I mean,
but we've debunked that. Social media, YouTube have debunked that. All the experts, all of this information is out there.
It has, but we only have. So if you go by each one teach one, right? You taught me.
Yeah.
I've taught like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my 3 or 4 have taught anybody else.
Yeah. So as we're telling people, Bitcoin keeps rising, right? So
Right.
my point is, will it be 100K before people start to come
It's
in?
already
Will it be?
100K.
I mean, not 100K. Would it be a million? Will it be 2 million? You know, and when would it be too late? So like, because Bitcoin is growing at a rate that we're telling people, and people are coming in, but I feel like people are coming in at a slower pace than Bitcoin is actually growing. At least the everyday people, the people who should be taking advantage of it, the people who should be, you know, getting some of this so they can change their generational wealth. And what's happening is the private sector are buying up Bitcoin faster than we're telling people.
That's right.
So is there some kind of mechanism to get people to get it, to make a change this time, versus it just being so undeniable, but really not
So
doing anything for the people, because the people are working on habits and there's nothing that's different to make them to buy and actually change that wealth
I
opportunity.
feel what you're saying, but so my conversations over the years has changed, right? When I, was telling people 8-9 years ago about Bitcoin, they're like, "Yeah, that seems like internet money. That seems kind of whack. I don't know about that, right?" Okay, hadn't been around long enough, wasn't big enough. How do I make sure it's not a scam? It was skepticism, right? My conversations around it now are totally different. Now, people accept that it's a real thing. They accept that it's here to stay. But they like, I missed that boat. It's too expensive. I can't buy it. And we don't talk enough about the unit bias. The fact that you could buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. You could buy $50 worth of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. And the other part of that is this. If you have a choice between taking your paycheck that you get every 2 weeks, or if you're a business owner, whenever you get your money, taking a piece, whatever you put in savings, if you're putting that in a savings account, you're losing money. Because the rate of inflation is higher than the interest that the bank is giving you on your money.
Yeah.
So your money's melting like an ice cube. But if you took that savings and put it into Bitcoin, you're making money at 60% year over year. And that's what people, I think, are either not believing, or they don't know. Because, I mean, like you, I ain't telling people like I used to tell people.
Yeah. And maybe we should approach it from this perspective. Bitcoin is now at 100,000 per Bitcoin. Currently, as it stands, maybe it's fluctuating between 95, to 100. The average person will no longer be able to buy a whole Bitcoin, but that's okay, because in the early stages, when Bitcoin was around $30, $40, $1,000, $2,000, it was too complicated, too fragile, too volatile, all of that. It didn't have enough backing. So people didn't understand it to invest in it. So the early adopters did, and that's okay. That's just what happens with technology or something like Bitcoin. But I don't want people to feel like because Bitcoin has reached 100,000 that because they can't afford a Bitcoin, they don't need to invest anymore, because the average person will be able to buy fractional reserve, and fractional reserves can still make you a millionaire in the future.
Absolutely.
And that should be the approach, is put the money that you can in there, because and not worried about having to buy a whole Bitcoin. So how do we change the mentality? Because I think people, they remember stories of people buying a whole Bitcoin and buying pizza with whole Bitcoins and stuff like that. Those days are no longer around, and there will never be again, So I guess it's about telling people how to look at it in a different way, so they can feel good about investing and know that they will still have the possibility to get,
Yeah, I mean,
money.
I think the conversation is about, look, are you saving any of your money? Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how much it is. If you're saving $20 every paycheck, or you're saving $5 every time you get paid, and you're putting it in the bank, you're losing money. You should put that into Bitcoin so that it can make you money. Because Bitcoin is going to outrun the rate of inflation. Your money in the bank is not going to keep up with inflation. If people could just understand that alone, that might make more people come to the point of saying, okay, I'm going to put my savings in the Bitcoin. If they just did that, it could change people's lives.
You see, people are probably looking at Bitcoin as a form of technology, not like a currency. You know, like the dollar that I can get and spend. They're like before, because people don't mind investing. If you tell someone invest in if you got money, invest in S&P, you know, find a group of stocks that you believe that is going to be here for a long time and that company is going to grow. You put your money in there, you get a return on your investment. That makes sense. They're thinking in terms of money and the company has value. I put my money in, I get more money. When it goes to Bitcoin, they're like that's technologically like complicated to understand. And as a tech enthusiast, I've always told my friends about technology and they're just like, tell me more about it. I ain't got time to learn. I ain't got time, but is it good? Is it bad? Okay, cool. They don't really, they're not really as invested in wanting to know and learn about tech. And I think Bitcoin has been one of that digital tech that feels like that for them, as opposed to this is something that has a monetary value. You know what I mean? Or this is something that is a currency too that you can invest in and save.
I get it. I totally get it. But the other part of that to me is, if all I said was Wall Street is buying Bitcoin by the billions, there are companies that are buying Bitcoin by the billions. There are states that are getting ready to start buying Bitcoin by the billions. Are they all wrong?
You know, you get it.
I mean, of course I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense to you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
but
I'm not the one you got to sell. I'm already buying it.
Yeah, I know.
Sold.
But I'm not, yeah, because.
But how do you get somebody who isn't in it?
Right. And I
I
don't think that is going to matter to them.
Well, I mean, you don't think it's going to matter. People care about their money, right?
Yeah. But you know what? Another thing is, I don't think a lot of people are actually saving or investing in anything, right? The average person is probably working, and once they get off of work, they buy groceries, they pay rent, they pay their card note, and within that, their monthly budget, the check is gone. I don't think a lot of people are really putting money away from the rainy day. And so if you tell someone to finally, for the first time, educate them on investing and also investing in something that's completely new that they don't understand, that's a double whammy right there. So how are people really going to invest in Bitcoin if they're not even investing in the stock market, the average person?
Yeah. So if you're not saving anything, I don't know what can help you, because again, you know, and I find this with younger folk, because when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about saving for retirement. I was gonna live forever. Retire. That's so far away. I'm not even thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about having a 401k. I wasn't thinking about putting money in that. I worked a couple of jobs and didn't even put my money in my retirement. Even jobs that were matching whenever I put in my retirement. And then you get to a point you're like, you know what? You have to put some money away, you know, for retirement. And, you know, because I was my own business, you know, a business owner for so long, you know, you got to pay the rent. You got to, you know, you don't have no extra money for stuff. And I had to kind of make myself carve off a piece. You know they say in business, pay yourself first. Right? Whatever that amount's going to be, you get money, pay yourself first. If you got to let a creditor wait, make sure you pay yourself first. If you, at some point, you get to that point. Because you go down the road and you're like, I'm paying everybody else, I ain't paying me first.
Yeah. I'm paying all these bills. I'm paying
everybody else to keep them off my back. But at some point in time, I need something for me.
Right.
So I don't know, almost every business owner at some point gets to the point where I got to pay myself first. And when you do that, and this is not financial advice, but if I'm in that place and I look at my options, money in a bank account, that's going to give you 42 cents every quarter, or money in Bitcoin that I'm going to save and not touch. And when I come back to it, it's triple or quadruple. I need to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because I've been an entrepreneur for so many years, you know, Bitcoin, crypto, that's been the answer for me. Because, you know, I didn't have the luxury of putting money aside every 2 weeks. You know, I was killing what I was eating.
Yeah. So are you currently spending your Bitcoin at all to buy anything, or you 100% saving your Bitcoin?
I would. So I don't recommend anybody sell your Bitcoin, because I mean, you know, Bitcoin has a price of running away from. You might sell your Bitcoin when it's $40,000 of Bitcoin, saying I'll get back in, I'll buy it back in. And by the time you get ready to buy it back in, Bitcoin is going to 80,000. You're like, God damn. And so now I'm getting half of what I had. Now, there's some interesting products that are coming out that, you know, and this is going to keep happening. There's a platform called Ledin, and I almost don't even want to talk about it because they should be a sponsor of our podcast. But Ledin gives you loans against your crypto, and you don't have to sell your Bitcoin or your Ethereum, because you take a loan against it, use it as collateral, and then you pay the loan back, and they give you your Bitcoin or your Ethereum back.
There was another coin like that exists before. Did something happen to it?
There's another coin?
Some project like
The
that.
platform.
What platform? Celsius. Right.
Yeah.
Celsius. What happened to Celsius? Is it still around?
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
I got burned like shit on Celsius.
Right. But Ledin is the replacement of that.
No.
Same concept, right?
Not really, because
No?
Celsius was an exchange. It was you could buy and sell crypto on that.
I thought you can hedge against your crypto.
Yeah, you could do that. It had a lending feature.
Okay, just a feature. But
Yeah.
this Ledin is the actual function of it.
All
It's a
they
use case.
do is give you Bitcoin and Ethereum backed loans. But the beauty of Ledin is you use your crypto.
Mm-hmm.
You have a choice if you want them to loan it out or you want them to hold it in cold storage for you.
Mm-hmm.
You pay a higher interest rate if they don't lend it out. And then they give you a loan of your currency that you want, whatever currency that you want it in. And then you have a year to pay it back.
You pay a higher interest rate if you don't lend it out.
Right.
And if you do lend it out,
you pay a lower interest rate.
You pay a lower interest
but
rate.
They're loaning out your
Right.
your Bitcoin.
Got it. Do you know the percentages by any chance?
Yeah, I do, because I just did one.
Okay.
So if you don't want them to loan out your money, it's like 14 point something %.
Monthly, yearly?
No, it's a one time.
It's a one time.
14%.
So initially when you put your money in Ledin, your Bitcoin in Ledin, they will either charge you 14% one time, or if you put it in or automatically have a use case or want to loan it out, then it's a lower
interest
It's a
rate.
lower interest.
It's like 12 point something if you let them loan it out for you.
One time. For that.
Yeah. You're
Got
getting
it.
a lower interest rate. Yeah. But the thing about it is you don't make any payments.
You don't make any payments.
Nope.
So if I'm investing in real estate, what typically happens is, like, I want to invest in a property. I don't have enough money, but I have savings. But if I want to take that savings out to be able to invest, I'll be charged. It'll be a taxable event for me to take that money out of the market to be able to pay for that property.
Okay,
So
I'm a little lost. But say what you're saying.
if you want to invest in a property, if you don't have hard cash,
if you don't have hard cash,
but
what
you
do
have savings,
you have savings.
correct?
Well, you got hard cash in a savings account.
Well, yeah, you have, yeah. Some people don't look at, like, if I want to invest in a property, I got savings, but I don't want to take my savings out. I want to get a loan.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because I wanna risk someone else's money
Right.
until I can make a profit and pay that back and not touch my savings.
Okay.
So I go to the bank and try to take out a loan to be able to
apply
invest in
for a
that.
loan.
Yeah, and what the bank is going to say is,
They're
do
gonna
you
run
have
your credit,
to run your credit to
see what kind of assets you got,
right?
and decide if they're going to give you a loan.
Correct. You want to see if because if anything, they'll use your assets as collateral. So with Ledin, I want to invest in a real estate property. I go to them and say, you don't have to give me money. You don't have to loan me anything. I'm just going to tell you that I have enough money to back the property that I want to pay for. And you then hedge me that money. That's not how it works?
No, because you can't just tell them. You just tell them you ain't doing shit.
No. I'm not taking my money. I'm not taking my savings out of the market. I'm just transferring my Bitcoin savings to Ledin, so Ledin can.
Right. So if you want to take out a loan on Ledin's platform, then let's say you want $10,000 in cash.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put up $20,000 worth of your crypto, of your Bitcoin or your Ethereum.
Okay.
2-to-1 ratio. They're going to give you $10,000 cash, but you don't make any payments.
Got it.
And you pay it back at the end of 1 year.
And then they give you your
crypto your
back.
Bitcoin or Ethereum back to you.
Okay.
Right.
All transacted on the blockchain. That's okay.
Right. And you have the opportunity, if you want to roll that into another year, you can roll it into another year.
Okay. By adding more?
No, same terms.
Same terms.
They're going to charge you another interest percentage, obviously.
Got it.
For doing the service for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have your same Bitcoin.
Got it. As opposed to the bank.
As opposed to done another way, and because there's no credit check.
Okay, there's no credit check. Okay, that's one positive. Okay,
your Bitcoin is who cares what your credit is,
right? Because you got the Bitcoin,
right? Well, so if I go to a bank and want to get a loan, and we have a credit check, they're gonna look at my assets, and they're gonna want me to pledge something as collateral, and then I got to make payments every month. As soon as they fund my loan, I got to make payments every month to pay that loan back.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a date when the last payment is due. I can't default. With Ledin, they give you your money, you don't have to make any payments at all. You get a whole year to pay them back. You can pay it back whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also extend.
That's dope.
It allows you to be your own bank.
That is dope. Yeah. So it's using Bitcoin in its purest form.
Because it's pristine collateral.
So then again, that is
And because you're using it as collateral, you haven't sold it, so there's no capital gains tax.
Bingo. So that answers the questions I had earlier on, right? Because I'm thinking not everybody's going to be able to invest in Bitcoin. People are going to sit around, but Bitcoin is here to stay. And I think that everybody eventually will be using Bitcoin. And so when that happens, what are going to be the benefits of using Bitcoin as a form of exchange and savings versus, the old barbaric system that we have? And one of those benefits is that the blockchain has so many different technologies, altcoins, white papers like Ethereum that will benefit people every day, right? Through making different transactions that they have to do in life. Whether if I'm a business owner, I want to do a contract, with another person, whether I need to invest in a property and I need to use a lending platform like Ledin, right? I don't have to worry about my credit history being checked and paying monthly all the time, whether it's you name it, right? So that'll be the benefit of this technology, whether you invest in it early or not.
And there are other products that are coming out. I'm listening now on a podcast about a product that's a self-repaying loan to buy real estate. So you get a mortgage to buy a house, and then you can pledge part of your Bitcoin to reduce your interest rate. And they give you a guarantee that you'll never lose your Bitcoin. No matter what happens, they never will sell your Bitcoin. Your interest rate might go up, but they'll never sell your Bitcoin and they'll always be able to return it to you, whenever you want it back. So there are a lot of different products that are starting to come out now, and that's going to only increase because of the administration that's in power now is allowing for they've opened the floodgates for all these different use cases to begin to be created. And we're at the beginning stages. So that's why I say we're in the golden age of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Because with the government fighting tooth and nail to try to kill Bitcoin and crypto over the last decade plus, choke point 2.0, debanking folks who have, buying crypto, stopping you from being able to get the on-ramps for it, all the things, Bitcoin was able to soldier through all that and get to $100,000. Now, with all the lights, as far as you can see down the road turning green, banks are going to start custody your Bitcoin. They're going to start wanting to. But see, here's the risk that's coming down the pike. Because banks are going to offer to custody your Bitcoin. They're going to offer to give you a loan. But if because Bitcoin can go up and down, if it goes down, they'll liquidate your Bitcoin. And they'll take it. You see, your risk in that regard is the loss of your Bitcoin. And you really, for years, as long as you can remember, rich people never use their own assets to buy stuff.
Yeah.
They borrow against their assets.
Right.
They use other people's money, never their own money.
Right.
To get the capital they need to do what they want to do.
Right. Which is what I was saying earlier with the example of trying to invest in real estate, and I have savings, but I don't want to use my savings, but I still want to be able to get that property. Instead of going through the credit history check, instead of going through, them trying to seize my assets, what now is a possibility is I can just say, hey, I have enough Bitcoin and I'm willing to do a 2-to-1 ratio for you to hold, and then give me the money that I need to invest in this property. And once I make the profit, I can then pay you back, and you just give my Bitcoin and nothing changes. Right.
But you don't even have to tell them that. They could care less what you're using it for. You don't tell them what you're doing it for.
Right.
All they have is your Bitcoin, and they give you the money.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, you want to do. So, but the thing is, here's the thing. That's the other thing that's important to know. Because, let's say that, you wanted to buy a piece of real estate as an investment property, right? And let's say that investment property you wanted to buy was $150,000. So if you had $300,000 worth of Bitcoin, you could take $300,000 worth of Bitcoin and get $150,000 cash. Now you go and you buy that property all cash. Now you own that property. And then you get a renter. And you put a renter in that property. Now that renter is paying you rent. Now you can go into any bank and get a conventional loan on a mortgage loan on that property, because you have the property in your name already, has no debt, and you got a renter that's paying you rent every month. Now a bank will give you a loan for $150,000. You take that loan of the $150,000, and you go give it back to Letty and get your Bitcoin back. And then the renter is paying the rent every month. So if he's paying you $1,500 every month and your mortgage is $1,000, you're making $500 positive cash flow, and that renter is paying down your mortgage, and you own that property. And now you can rinse and repeat. You can be your own bank.
But why do I need to pay to let them back so early? If they're not really charging me anything, I don't need to pay monthly. Why can't I just wait until I start making profit? And unless there's a term on how long I can hold that, or
you take out that for a year.
For a year, okay. So
and you could roll it into another year. But why? I don't know why you would wait. Because for me, if it were me, I would go and take that money and buy that place. Now I own it all cash. And then I put a renter in it. Now that renter is paying me rent. Now I go get a mortgage on that, conventional mortgage, and I'm using the bank, using that property as collateral, and the renter's paying that mortgage back. Right. Meanwhile, the property's going up in value. But I got my 150 back, so I'm getting my Bitcoin back. It's back in my cold storage, going up in value. Now my Bitcoin's going up in value in cold storage. The house that I bought, the mortgage is being paid by the renter, and I got a $500 cash flow every month, and I got the property that's going up in value. I can do it again.
Yeah.
I can do it again.
Rinse and repeat.
I could build an entire real estate portfolio. Now, you become your own bank.
So you're able to do that now?
Yeah.
Will you be doing it? Is that something that you're interested in doing? Or
I find it interesting.
You find it interesting. But why wouldn't you do it?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Because I would have, if I had, you know, maybe like 250K, 350K, well, let's say 600K, you know what I mean? Because you got to do 2 to 1. I mean, if I want to get a property, realistically, it's going to be around, I can get something for 100, would you say? 150? Depend, maybe like a little condo.
Yeah.
I'll be jumping on the opportunity to rinse and repeat right now. Are there any labor or maybe like any overhead troubles that I have to worry about that'll make it so, you know, dreadful to want to take that opportunity and invest?
I mean,
if I just hire a property manager, do you think that would be enough to take care of it? And I just have to oversee the property manager?
Yeah.
And then rinse and repeat?
I would think so. I mean, look, you know, it's about diversifying and, you know, reducing your risk profile. If I've got everything that I have in Bitcoin, that's great. But if Bitcoin has a black swan event, I'm screwed. But if I can use Bitcoin to buy real estate, now I've diversified my holdings in the real estate and Bitcoin. So that if Bitcoin were to go out and go under, I've got a real estate portfolio. And there are risks that go along with having real estate. The renter may not pay, the renter may tear up your spot, the place may burn down. I mean, there's all kind of risk. It's a lot more risk than it is holding Bitcoin.
Right.
But you're just diversifying that risk. So, you know, those are the kind of things, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, you know, these are the kind of things that I'm, you know, going to be talking about. You know, I've started a Substack for beginners that want to learn about cryptocurrency. And it's crypto, CRYPTO, crypto lens, LENS, lens 2025 at substack.com. Crypto lens 2025. Giving you a clear vision about the cryptocurrency industry. And, you know, we've got a lot of subscribers, and I encourage people who are interested in this topic to go subscribe, to learn more about this. Because I want to talk about, as these new products come out, how to leverage those products to build generational wealth.
Yeah.
Now, it's not financial advice, but these are the things that are out there to be had. You have to make your own decision.
That the individual can take advantage of that can potentially change their lives.
But if you have the knowledge, you can make a decision if you want to do it or not.
Yeah. This conversation is particularly important for me too, and my community of folks that I'm invested in with my Substack, Solar Punk, because we cover the 5 pillars of sustainable lifestyle, and one of the pillars is community governance, and we try to tell people that, you know, they don't have to wait and sit around for the government to move the needle in their lives. Like they can take their opportunities here. There are decentralized technologies that exist now that can empower the individual to do 80x, 100x times more than what they've once been able to do in their life. And this information, you know, is to be able to help people, you know, invest in a way that decentralized and it's not reliant on the government or the banking system, which is, in my opinion, there's a lot of flawed, around that. Anyway, and for the folks who are listening to, you can definitely subscribe to my Substack by logging on to solarpunkdc.com. And yeah, you will be able to take advantage of these information that can, help you and help change your life.
And both of our Substacks are free.
Yep.
No
both
cost.
Are free.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's sometimes when I think, what can I do to be a part of the change, to be a part of a message out there that social media is so powerful. And every time I log on, I have to filter out through the noise and try to find information that's going to empower my life. It's such a powerful tool, social media, but we use it for such distractions. And whenever we have conversations like this that we can multi-purpose on platforms that's going to help people, just get a little bit of knowledge on something that can at least add to a positive change in their life, it just makes it all worth it,
So for me, I feel like if you hadn't hit me to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in 2017, I would have come to it at some point, but who knows when it would have been. Might be now, right? 10 years later. So I'm appreciative of that because, and anybody who knows me, if I get on a topic, I'm gonna do a deep dive and I'm gonna just learn everything I can learn about it, right? That's my nature. But I just want more people to be able to have the opportunity to get in front of this thing before it does run away from you. Bitcoin could very easily go to $1 million of Bitcoin by the end of 2025, 2026. And that will be a 10x from where it is right now. So if you're out there and you can put $1,000 into Bitcoin, that means it's going to be $10,000 when Bitcoin hits $1 million. If you could find a way to be able to put $10,000 in, it'd be $100,000. 10x by the time Bitcoin gets to $1 million. And what if Bitcoin goes to 10 million? Now that $10,000 becomes $1 million. But you're not going to get it if you're not in there trying to put together a stack that can accelerate like that. It's not going to happen if you're putting the money into a savings account in the bank. You're losing money. So if you think about it, from my standpoint, I just want people to just get off zero. Just get off zero. And a lot of times, people want to understand and fully digest what it is all about before they do anything. Man, fuck that. Just buy something and start watching it. You made a point in the group that we're in, buy some and watch it and get excited when it starts going up. That'll make you be more of a participant to put more in. If I was giving somebody, and again, this is not financial advice, but if I was giving my sister or I was giving my cousin or I was giving my dad some advice that really wanted to try to change their financial wherewithal, I'd be like, make it my business to try to get $10,000 worth of Bitcoin as soon as I could. If I can get $10,000 worth of Bitcoin by Thanksgiving, next Thanksgiving, how much can I save? Give up those 3 lattes at Starbucks every week.
Yeah.
Go out one time less. How can I get to, and maybe the first goal is get to 1,000. And once I'm at 1,000, try to make it 5. And when I'm at 5, try to make it 10.
Yeah.
Because the Bitcoin will go 10x from where it is right now. It's going to go 10x.
Yeah, but the market cap of Bitcoin is so large. I mean, you invest in it in, your investment, especially if you put 200, 300 or 1,000, you're not really getting a lot of return because, it's moving really slow versus if you invest in an altcoin where you can see the return much faster and there's a potential for it to boom, right? And so maybe if I were to tell people to come in the market, as a first step, maybe I would try to get them to invest in altcoins because they can see the return much faster and to get them more excited. And then they can understand more that this thing has value and then start to have them place that in Bitcoin. Maybe that could be an approach. Who knows?
No, I don't think you're wrong, but I think that's phase 2. Because you got to do a lot of education to figure out the projects you're going to invest in when you talk about different cryptocurrencies that may or may not go up and may or may not get you wrecked.
But that person who is an expert, not necessarily an expert, but who has the knowledge, can be the one that they can rely on. So a lot of time people come into the market, right? They're probably getting in because they're learning from someone, whether a family member or cousin or something. So for me, like my approach, if I was telling my cousin to invest in crypto, as opposed to telling him, hey, dollar cost average in Bitcoin, where they may put $100, $200, and don't really see much of return because Bitcoin is sitting at 100K right now. With how many is it? Is the market cap up to $1 trillion yet?
2 trillion.
2 trillion, right? Why not tell them to invest in something with a lower market cap that I believe in and it's an altcoin that I know that is on a boom? Once they invest in that, they see the upside immediately, right? They see more return with the little that they invest, and they get excited and like, tell me more. What else can I put something, right? And I'm like, put your money in this, and like, oh my God, that shit worked. And they were like, you see the potential now with this money you put in Bitcoin because that's a long-term investment versus starting with the boring Bitcoin right now that's not moving much, and they're just putting $200, $300 in there, and they're like, not really believing.
And that's exactly why I started my beginner's Substack.
Yeah.
Because they don't have you to talk to and say what they should do, what they should buy. And so I'm trying to give people the tools to be able to educate themselves and be able to find the projects that won't get them wrecked. It's said, if you give a person a fish, they eat for a day. But if you teach a person how to fish, they can eat for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that I'm coming from. And again, I think for me, start by buying Bitcoin because it ain't going nowhere. And then educate yourself and learn about the different things that are out there. And, hey, you want to ask me, you want to ask you, if you happen to be fortunate enough to be in our circle, yeah, we'll give you our thoughts about this is good, this is not, buy that, don't buy that, in my opinion. But, there's some things that you would buy that I won't buy, and some things that I would buy that you wouldn't buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so who's to say you're right or who's to say I'm wrong? Like, you have to develop conviction in what it is you're going to buy into. Now, there's a lot of things that we both agree are good buys, but people now are out here making crazy money on meme coins.
That's true.
I don't mess with meme coins. They have no value. I'm more of a purist. I want something that's, excuse me, I want something that's going to have
intrinsic value.
Yeah. And it's solving a problem that has the potential for staying power. It's
solving a real world problem.
Yeah.
That we're all facing. And that's the coin you should invest in. It's still risk with that, right? Because some people attempt to solve a real world problem and it's not sustainable, and it's a flop, but it's still better than investing in meme coins because that has zero value at all. It's just based on hype. And so people are trying to figure out how to really understand what crypto is. And then once they understand that, trying to distinguish between what is a meme coin, what is the altcoin that actually is backed by real world problems, and then what is Bitcoin. There's these different nuances to it. And it's not going to happen. You won't get the answer in one day. For me, I'm just trying to I know I'm saying that I'm tired of trying to educate people or not educate people, I'm also force people to get into the market. But I'm also at the same time trying to figure out what can be the easiest access point. What would be a way to get people excited early to see the value and then create long-term habits? Because if I'm going to the gym, I need to see real results fast. Right. And so whether it be me measuring myself every day and see even an inch falling off, that gives me the courage to be able to go back, and then the habit is developed. And if I don't see any little, little wings, a little piece of breadcrumbs, I may not do it. So what is that? What does that look like in terms of investing in crypto? And I'm thinking, what would be the biggest, what will give you that breadcrumb, right? And I'm thinking more so altcoin versus a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you don't know anybody, if you just listen to this podcast and you don't know anybody who has more knowledge than you, and I would say, yes, invest in Bitcoin, even though this is not financial advice. But I would invest in Bitcoin if I knew no one else. But if I'm listening to the podcast and I know a friend who I just haven't listened to them, but they have a lot of knowledge, and I'm finally deciding, I want to be able to invest, I would think that that friend would help them get excitement going by investing in altcoin and making a return, and then investing in Bitcoin. And that's how I would see it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing. We're currently in a pullback.
Mm-hmm.
In this current bull run, we're in a pullback. Bitcoin has been ranging between 93 and 104 for the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
When it dips down to 93, every other altcoin goes down like 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it gets up to 104, every altcoin goes up like 8 to 10%.
Yeah.
So if I went ahead and bought the altcoin you said, and I kept looking at my portfolio and it kept being in the red, I might get discouraged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
mm-hmm.
It's hard because without belief, it's easy to give up.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole gym theory.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't believe I can get in shape,
yeah,
I'm not going to go through the agony, inconvenience, and effort of trying to go to the gym consistently.
Yeah. I just know I was in an incubator. I was fortunate enough to learn about Bitcoin at a time I had a bunch of time on my hands. We were in college, and I was working as a valet at Hotel Monaco, and I was in school. And the rest of the time was just fucking around town with a bunch of guys who were just eager for knowledge, and we were just thirsty about those things. And, we grabbed on to anything that came out that had any inkling that it was going to be something as fun and exciting, and futuristic or whatever. And we would just dive deep down into it. If you're an adult in the real world, worrying about paying bills, going out to your friends and traveling and all the different things that life, that comes your way. I don't know if you have the patience, the interest and all of that to be able to learn about Bitcoin, get excited, and then start to invest. I got to also empathize too with people, because we speak about this a lot, but I think we're in a position to be able to take advantage of it, right? You invested in Bitcoin was around 1,700, and that 1,700 brought you in a return much faster in a way that got you excited. So right now with Bitcoin being 100K, I don't know what that's going to look like for someone to feel excited that like we did back in the day when that thing was like a startup, So that's why I'm trying to figure out a different approach to get someone to invest and see a return on, to get excited and to be able to create the long-term habit.
But see, I think, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you too, but I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, and I'm looking at the regulatory environment that the current government administration is making very friendly for Bitcoin and crypto, in combination with nation states and states of the United States and corporations and ETFs and Wall Street buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. At the same time, the amount of Bitcoin available to buy on exchanges dwindling at an alarming rate.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin is getting ready to go on a run. And I don't think the next leg up is going to be more than a few months away before that supply shock hits that demand shock and Bitcoin goes another jump. That it goes from a $2 trillion market cap to a $5 million market cap.
Mm-hmm.
$5 trillion market cap.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does that and Bitcoin goes to 250, 260, and you were here at 100, you're gonna have some excitement.
Yeah. Well, the people who didn't invest at 100 and it's at 250, will it be even harder for people to start to get into the market more? Because people started feeling that way about 50K, 75K. Now it's 100K. Imagine if it's 250. The unit buyers, that hadn't sink in right now.
That's the obligation that we have is to educate and say, hey, that unit bias is not what you need to be focused on.
Yeah. Just thinking out loud. I think a lot of people too, they may not have had people invest in Bitcoin and use the Bitcoin to actually buy things. So
like go to the strip club and use some Bitcoin, throw some Bitcoin in, in a stripper's G-string. Yeah, you can't do that.
I mean, you can't do that right now because a lot of places are not accepting Bitcoin. But that's soon going to happen. And I'm also wondering, when is that going to start happening where you see Bitcoin picture or the symbol in different stores? I see it at gas stations, every now and then.
Absolutely.
We accept Bitcoin.
Bitcoin ATMs are everywhere.
Are they everywhere
all the gas stations I go to, one up there, all the ones I go to have a Bitcoin ATM. You got Bitcoin in the window.
Yeah, because you remember when we used to use cash for everything. There was not a time where if you want to go out, you're not leaving the house without cash in your wallet.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You need that cash.
Right.
And I remember when NFC readers started to come around, when the Apple Wallet came out, that technology that used NFC readers at gas stations or different places and clubs now, that way you can just tap with your phone and you don't need to carry cash. When that started to happen, a lot of people just left their money in the bank account. They never needed to go to the bank. Like before, I remember it was like as early as 2018 or actually, no. Yeah, 2015-ish, I'll say. My boys are like, yo, we going out, we hitting the club. The first thing we say is like, you gotta go to the bank. Grab a little 20, 40 out, even if it's like to pay, at the door.
Whatever, right.
Yeah. Now we ain't gotta do that. And so if there's enough Bitcoin ATM machines around and enough places that start to accept Bitcoin, I think.
I don't even know how to use the Bitcoin ATM. I would be straight. I have no idea.
Yeah. So,
not to mention, I wouldn't even buy it on the ATM because I think the fees are much higher if you buy it on it. But again, I don't know. I ain't never tried.
But the places that accept Bitcoin, when I see that we accept Bitcoin at a gas station,
right,
I'm like, yeah, that's dope, man. But I never really inquire. I don't know how that works because I'm not interested in really using my Bitcoin right now.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I don't know.
You're trying to stack it. You ain't trying to spend it.
I wonder what that transaction is like.
That's a good question. I'm surprised. Oh, you'll probably do it and do a video.
I might do it and see what that's like, and so I can know what the.
Although you have a car that's electric, you don't need gas.
I know, but I still go to gas stations every now and then, to get sparkling water or something. If I'm driving, I'll go to a gas station. I'll drop out 7-Eleven with gas. I still stop at a gas station. When I do, it's always weird, and people are always looking at me like, "What is a Tesla doing at the gas station?"
Right.
I'm like, "Motherfucker, gas stations have food and snacks."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need gas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the next time I pull up, if I see that sign, I want to see what that transaction, what that experience is like, so I can maybe get a little bit of tidbit on what I think that the everyday people are thinking about. That'd be good to have
an episode on what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a good education piece.
Yeah, man. So before we we're hitting the mark. Before we close out, I mean, is there any last thoughts that you have? Maybe when I listen to things that I feel like could potentially be education for me, something, information or resource that I can take and then use in my life, I always wonder, is this thing really real? Are they telling me everything that they know? Or they're withholding some information from me? Is it all laid out? Is it full transparency? You know what I mean? And I'm always thinking, what's in it for them? What are they leaving out that that is not enough, that I'm,
So I would say every time we go on the mic, I think we're fully transparent. And I think on this topic we are. But are we withholding a lot? Absolutely. There's so much to this area. You can't get it in an hour. You just can't.
Yeah.
It's too much. And there's a lot of stuff you have to learn. And everybody's journey is personal in themselves, but they got to go through the same journey of understanding and learning. But that's why, and I say it one more time, Crypto Lens 2025 at Substack.com is a place you can get that knowledge.
Yeah.
What's in it for me? Nothing, really. Other than to see our communities be able to have the opportunity to take advantage of something that can financially change their lives.
Yeah.
That's satisfying to me.
Yeah. And, for the same thing with me, if you want to follow the community, get hip to other, pillars of a sustainable lifestyle, even want to know where to go and volunteer at a farm, start to, change your eating habits. Or if you want to know the future of transportation with micromobility, things like that, subscribe to my channel, my Substack channel at solarpunkdc.com. And yeah, man, we're passionate about this thing. And I think for me, what's in it is I believe that giving is a selfish act. If you focus on, giving to others, the byproduct is you being good. You're good. The more people you help, you'll be fine. You always have people that you can rely on because you've helped that many people. And so that's kind of like the circular approach of how I see it. So I don't really think about it, as you give, you receive. And so this is why we do this. So
until next time, y'all.
Yeah.
We'll catch y'all then.
Peace.
Peace.